Hello, crypto enthusiasts. Welcome to our video today. We're going to be discussing XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. And a little later on this week or this weekend, perhaps, we'll cover some other coins. But let's kind of look at Bitcoin for the moment. So Bitcoin is trading around $26,089.99, kind of going back and forth. Now, if you've been kind of in the loop of anything to do with crypto lately, it's been kind of sluggish back and forth, minus the kind of downward shift it took just a couple of days ago. Well, if you haven't already, subscribe, drop a comment, help us support the channel, click the bell icon, stay up to date with some analysis, with some news and opinions, and we will greatly appreciate it. So, like I said, Bitcoin on the daily chart, which is what I like to kind of go by for the most part, unless I'm trying to do a little bit more detailed analysis as far as what the day is going to be like or the week, but typically I trade by the day. Now, like I said, so Bitcoin's trading around roughly, well, 26,000, which is not that great, especially coming back from that slide, that 3-day slide from the 21st to the 23rd of August, and now kind of entering that range. As far as the volume goes, the 24-hour volume, we can see that not much is really happening. Kind of been the same thing, well, since back in June in this time. So we have that, you can see those patterns kind of coming out, right? So a little upticks here and there, of course, but over and all, minus the huge sell-off that kind of happened in this moment. And that was basically when companies, global companies for that fact, were actually moving away or selling off for kind of to cover some of their losses and just trying to cash out as they could, especially if you kind of look and any time you see a big, well, a big range kind of taking place, it's kind of a key indicator that you're eventually gonna go down. And it's not always guaranteed, but that's kind of what we have, and I'll show you what I mean. So almost every time, if you notice a range is coming in like so, I mean it's technically a range. It, People get bored, especially investors, because there's not any price action moving on, and they start to sell. And when that happens, that's what this is. And companies are really wanting to take advantage of that, right? Particularly companies. Now, of course, average investors will do this because they're bored, but companies also do the same thing. And so you see this moment down, and we'll go back and look. So when we have like this range, this little bit of a range, and you notice there really wasn't much price action, it dipped, right? And sometimes too, depending on the news, we have a range and it will go up. And of course, there's other market factors, but this is kind of what we're going by in just this situation, right? So we can probably take it. So here in this moment, you need to understand that, okay, the market's always going to go back to the previous major market moves, the major market structures. You've heard me say this probably almost in every video. But here, for example, as going down, we talked about it as well, is that let me just click, the market structure is going to dip back down right here because there was that market move that came up. Actually, it was more right here because we have a big structure coming in. And that's where we went. So we went right back to the structure, giving that, okay, people were getting bored, companies needed some cash because, of course, the entire global financial market is just a complete train wreck. But once it did this, it dropped. And what saved it from going further down? Well, that major market move. So, what does that mean for the upcoming days or weeks or so that we have another structure? So, we'll eventually return back to the 29,000 mark, eventually, because this is also a market structure move, right? So, we have it going down. And we're coming back. And of course, we're going to touch back up here. And this is going to be the next big resistance level, minus the 27,000, which you're kind of seeing taking place yet. But 27 and 8. We'll call it 28 just to be safe, because we have a few key moments here that's going to be acting as resistance, a pretty strong resistance for it to kind of push above. But once we kind of get into this area here, minus this range that kind of got built up, the next we could return back to 31 because that was the previous structure, right? So 30, 31. And of course, it goes into more detail if we're looking back in June and so forth and so on. But that's what we're looking at. So the next big move. Now, what if it flip sides down to kind of prepare 24,000? It could drop and go back down to as well because we have that coming in back in February. We had that move and it would be a solid support level as well. And then, of course, it's all worse, and it keeps pushing down and pushing down 21. So it could potentially reach that if all hell breaks loose. But let's be positive and say that it starts to move in. It would go into the more positive sphere, right? So even if we go to like the MACD, for example, and we just let me go pull this up for you guys, and then you can kind of see even the MACD is kind of getting ready to come back over and cross. Now, if we can see, we're just kind of been in and out over here. Now, we had that good push coming over. We had the same thing coming up. So once moving over, we'll see that. And so the moving averages is something to pay attention to. I don't have it here today, but we'll cover it in the next video. So Ethereum is kind of doing the same thing, except a lot more volume playing in. Now Ethereum's phone actually sold out. Solana's phones are actually reduced in price. Some news stuff that's going on there. Ethereum took a hard hit back on the 17th of August. Dropped down to 1540. Of course, it moved back up to around 1687. And we're kind of having this action going on as well. Now I'm moving it up. I like to go by the body of the candle, not so much the wick. But we can see that we have this support level around 1650, 1650 is trading now at 1653 at the current moment. So we have this area now. Then where we need to reach to back again, which is going to be okay for us, is around 1700 bucks. We'll eventually get back to that. Not too many things stopping us except for the 1700 mark, and that's coming from October of last year and July of last year. That's kind of that resistance line that's touching back in that area. But also we'll return back to 1800 too. That's that major market structure where it dipped back down, the same thing that we're talking about. And plus, but to do that, 17 is going to be a fight to push back in. All right, and let's reconnect. And as far as XRP, XRP is one of those coins that has kind of been a roller coaster in its own way, especially giving the news, giving from Gensler, and that's coming back here on the 12th. That big push, and then of course we moved in and took the crash too. People started selling, liquidating their assets. The same thing in the market. Now we can see that we talked about this before. This was that move that acted as resistance, and it came back up. Now, of course, it did kind of fall through, so it did act as a resistance, or I'm sorry, a support level to keep this from falling further. And now it dropped, and of course went back up. But that market structure will be back to around 80 cents, and that's very, very highly possible. But what about any kind of resistance coming in soon is going to be the 54, 55, which we're sitting around 50 cents now. That's going to be one, the support level we already have, and then of course 71, so we're looking for that. Now, we are in a downtrend, nothing good from that, of course, right? So we are in a bit of a downtrend, and moving closer to a line right here. So probably in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll be able to tell more as as far as understanding what kind of bias to go. Should you continue going short? Should you go long? And that's something to pay attention to as well. Now, the market as a total, Bitcoin down 1.5, XRP is 3.4, Ethereum is 1.2. A lot of coins are taking a hit today. Even Cardano is down by 2.1%. Sol is down by 4.7. We have OKB. If you're following OKB, it is 2.5. Matic is down by 2.9 as well. So there's definitely more red than there is green for this case. But if we take a look at the weekly, it's not such a bloodbath, right? But still also no big gains coming from this point. And this is where you're seeing that range movement kind of going on, this uncertainty, especially for the top 10 coins. All right, so it still kind of looks like we're a bit of a altcoin season kind of going in, and it's really hard to really kind of call that confidently. But like I said, so everything's still kind of down for the week, except for Solana took a pretty big hit during the week at 6.3%. SHIB's down by 4%, Atom's down by 4.5%, right? And Link is down by 4.2%. But compared again back to the daily, right? It's not so bad. But the entire market in general, we'll probably see a big shift in what's going to happen with crypto and a number of things, especially given that Powell is going to be speaking and depending on how the dollar is going to react. Now, of course, when we have the dollar reacting really good, crypto tends to not do so well, and vice versa, right? So we want to see a big shift from here. So we're definitely somewhat in a uh, bear market, but it can change at any moment, so we need to pay attention to that a little bit closer. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Smash the like button, leave a comment, tell me what you think. How much longer are we going to be in this bear market? Are we in? Do you consider ourselves being in a bear market, or give me your opinions? And be sure to click the bell icon while you're down there. Tell me what you think. See you guys again soon.